All right, guys, we're doing another Ask Dave. We haven't done one of these in a while. I tweeted out this morning a link to Aura TV. You submitted a ton of questions. We got literally like 100 questions in about 20 minutes. So we picked the top 20. We're doing 2 videos right now. Here we go. Michael asked, what is your opinion on Cruz and Kasich openly colluding to ensure a contested convention? Does this kind of desperate action against the frontrunner not make voters turned off to their message? So if you don't know what he's talking about, we're taping this, I should tell you. Today is Monday, so Super Tuesday is tomorrow. And what they're doing, basically, Cruz and Kasich, is they're saying to their constituents, basically, vote for this guy here, because they're just trying to stop Trump from getting to that 1237 in the delegate count. It's pretty depressing. Look, I'm not for any of these guys. I think you guys know that already, right? I don't like pretty much anyone running at the moment. But what they're doing, it's the most it's everything that people hate about politics. Like, literally, Kasich and Cruz cannot win mathematically, so they're hoping for the contested convention. And they're literally just trying to coordinate how do we stop Trump so that ultimately the party leaders can select the nominee. So it's just sort of depressing. And sadly, this is just where we're at. And I have a feeling it's not even going to work anyway. At Ellen Dean May asked, hey, Dave, what do you think of the effects of the migrations into European countries? And why do you think the left is pushing to let them into the U.S.? So we've talked about this a bunch on this show. And one of the reasons I've talked about it is because pretty much nobody in American media is talking about it. I guarantee you, or I'm pretty close to guarantee you, that if you turn on the big 3 cable news channels today, you're going to see virtually nothing about the immigration situation in Europe, and eventually it's going to make its way over here. I would say this. I would always err on the side of immigrants because we are a nation of immigrants, right? Everyone that lives in this country, your ancestors were immigrants, unless you are Native American or your ancestors were brought here as slaves. So I would always err on the side of helping people because people want to come here for a better life, and America is still pretty good at doing that. That said, we have to have an honest debate about it. How many people can we take in? How can we vet these people properly? How do we make sure that terrorists and people that want to do bad things are not involved in them, and things like that? We're not very good at having real honest debates here. That's why I do the show the way I do. And I hope that more people will wake up to this so that when more people start coming here, which they probably will, we'll have an honest discussion about it. M. Salmonfink says, when's Joe Rogan going to be on your show? Joe is incredibly busy. We've been going back and forth. We're going to make it happen. There's no doubt it's going to happen. I'm going to go back on his show. Joe has been great to me, and actually one of the reasons that this show has blown up the way it has is because by going on Joe's show and him promoting me on Twitter and stuff, he helped me find the audience that I was always looking for. So yes, we will get him in here. I don't know if I'm going to do 3 hours with him like he does on his show, but it will happen. Sean asks, do you plan to expand your repertoire beyond just politics interviews? Yeah, I would love to. I think we do. Everything's sort of political one way or another, even if you try to get away from politics. So we did a show on marijuana. I mean, that's not necessarily political, but everything sort of comes back to politics. But yeah, I want to do more on comedy. I would love to talk more about sports and science fiction and artificial intelligence and all kinds of stuff. We're sort of stuck. We're in a weird time right now because it's an election year and everyone's so polarized and crazed. So yeah, I'm going to try to bounce back and forth and also do more of the big idea stuff, just the philosophical tenets of freedom and freedom of speech and all that good stuff. Okay. Lo Haid said, in your opinion, how should classic liberals stand up to the regressive left to break away from liberal being considered an insult? All right, so that's a great question, and it gets to the heart of a lot of what we do here, right? So first off, liberal being an insult, I think, is interesting. I remember I was 12 years old, right, when I was sort of getting into politics. 1988, Michael Dukakis was running against George H.W. Bush, and we were doing like a fake election in my class, and I remember George H.W. Bush called Dukakis a liberal, and Dukakis, who was a Democrat, was like, I'm no liberal. And I remember thinking, that's so shitty. Like, being a liberal is good. It means that you're for helping people. It means that you want people to achieve the most they can and all that stuff. But yes, liberalism, and especially classic liberalism, has been hijacked by the progressives, or as we do call them here, the regressives. So I think the best thing that you can do, and I tweeted out a piece from Bertrand Russell this morning, a great quote on this. The best thing you can do is be willing to debate ideas. I mean, that's what you guys email me about all the time, that you're trying to take some of these ideas into your own life and talk to people about it. And it sucks because all the time I get email. You guys say I'm losing friends, or this one says this about me, or they say I'm bigot or racist. But you know what? If you're not, then don't be afraid of what people would say about you. I Am Truth 96 says, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck checked his wood chucking privilege? I suppose if he checked his privilege, he would be able to chuck less than he would otherwise, unfortunately. Marky Starr says, what's your opinion on the Bernie or bust movement? So this is the concept that the Bernie people just simply will not vote for Hillary. If Bernie doesn't get the nomination, they won't vote for Hillary, or that they just won't vote, period. This would be a very bad move if you're a Bernie person. First off, if he's got these young people excited right now, then the only way you stay excited and stay engaged is actually by voting. And guess what? There are going to be many other times, and young people will learn this over the course of growing up. There are many times when the person that you vote for doesn't win, but you have to stay engaged so that the tenets of what Bernie cares about, money in politics and all of those things, that those tenets will be addressed by the next politician. So you know what? You vote, and then if Hillary gets in, you keep applying the pressure on her. Or, you know what? I think a lot of the Bernie people, believe it or not, are going to go for Trump because he's the other guy out of the system. So if it's all about just flipping the system, I think some of them are going to go there. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but I have a feeling. Snowbanks34 said, you're a Hoops fan. What's your team? Also, who are your top 5 not best NBA players? I grew up in Long Island, and so the Knicks were the home team in New York. But in Long Island, for some reason, we got the New Jersey Net channel. So I grew up as a Nets fan. They sucked for all those years. Had a couple good years with Jason Kidd. Now I just like watching good players play. So as for my 5 favorite players, this is going to be a little cliche, but obviously Steph. He is literally, Steph Curry, changing the game in front of our eyes. The guy is just unbelievable. I heard his knee is mangled as of this morning, and he's going to be out maybe 2 weeks of the playoffs, which sucks. But he's changing the game, which is amazing. And then the 4 other guys I'm going to mention, these are really boring, but the Spurs starters, Tim Duncan, who the other day didn't even hit a shot for the first time in something like 260 playoff games. But watching that guy, he's like 97 years old, and he's good, and he plays right, and just plays with just passion and decency. And Tony Parker, who's so old too for a point guard, but still does it. What do we got? We got Manu Ginobili, also old. I like these old guys, basically, who still bring it. All right, so let's see. Mike says, as an aspiring stand-up from the UK, I'm 19 and I want to begin as soon as possible. I just feel poking fun at certain subjects will result in massive pushback. I want to be brave, I want to be honest in my stand-up, but with everything being racist, Islamophobic, sexist, and transphobic these days, I have no idea what would be best for me, as I have been wanting to be a comic since I was 11. It seems easy to lose a career just by using the wrong gender pronoun or targeting the wrong group. Any advice? I mean, again, this goes to all the things we talk about here. First off, you know, the thing about comedy is, and the reason why people go to comedians for truth is because if you're going to hear the truth, you may as well be funny about it. Otherwise, you're going to get punched. So yeah, it's a fine line. And unfortunately, because we live in outrage culture, everybody is ready to jump on you and ban you and all that stuff and boo you down. But comedy clubs still are a little safer than most places on earth for now. And my best advice would be just write the best stuff you can, keep getting on stage. And every time you think you're good, you'll probably realize you aren't, and then you just keep going again. Frederick asks, are you planning on interviewing anyone from Sweden? Since Sweden is at the height of regressiveness, I'm sure you and your audience would like to hear what's going on. So I think I've mentioned this before. Probably out of every other country, out of probably Canada and the UK and the United States, Sweden is where we get the most mail from. And it sounds like the regressive thing is just really taking a stronghold there. Give me some recommendations of people. I've reached out to a couple people in Sweden, some public speakers, and haven't had much luck. So if you've got some people in Sweden that I should talk to, yes, I would be happy to have them on. And finally, Kara asks, when are you selecting the winners of the fan show? So this is, remember, a couple weeks ago, we said that we were going to interview, that I would interview 5 of you guys for 10 minutes each and make that a whole episode. We got almost 1,200 responses. So if we were to interview 5 out of 1,200 of you, math isn't my thing, but I know that's much less than 1%. So we've been going back and forth, and we divvied it up amongst the team. We all went through a couple hundred of them. We have it now down to about 20 people, I think in 20 different countries. We want everyone to be from different countries in this. And we're going to select 10. So we're doubling what we said we were going to do. And we'll shoot it in the next couple weeks. Obviously, there's some logistical stuff. Got to work it out with people and time zones and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, all right, this is part 1 of the 2-part Ask Dave. Stay tuned for more.